What's happening, everybody? Tuned in to another episode of Off the Yard. Today we're doing it a little bit different. We're going to tell a story. We'll tell you a story about, you know, different things people use in the penitentiary to hurt each other. Different things people might use to send each other to the upper room. It's a serious game they play in prison, man. A lot of people play for keeps. Some people fake the funk. And both of those get weeded out real fast. And today, we're going to get into it. I've spent 14, almost 15 years of my life in prison. I've been from level 5 to level 3, even a little bit of time on level 2. I've seen it all, man. I've seen the worst of the worst to the most bootlicking inmates you can find. Junior police, sergeant inmate. And at the end of the day, they're all the same. Just some dude trying to make it the best way he knows how. But some people are just savage. Some people are just very, very maniacal, narcissistic savages. I'm not one of those people that says free all the guys, because I think there are quite a few individuals that deserve to be in the penitentiary. I'm a firm believer in the death penalty for some individuals, like Ricky Gray or the interstate sniper, or anyone that harms a child or a woman, or pretty much an innocent person, period. If you harm an innocent person that has no ability to defend themselves, you deserve what's coming to you. Just like out here on the street, just like in society, just like here in the free world, man. In the penitentiary, there are guys who just want to do their time and go home. They're not involved in the gangs. They're not involved in all the things. They're not involved in the hustle, the day-to-day. They just want to write their letters to their loved ones, do their time, maybe take a class or two, and go home. Salute to them. But you got some guys that this is their home. And although that you have men who are going to do these life sentences, there's 40, 50 years that they have. They try to do it quietly. They might get a little job in what in my state they call enterprise, where they go over there and they sew boots or make shirts or whatever it is they do. You have other guys that become prison. They want to live up to the expectations that society and movies have put on prison. They want to compete with other states. They want to be the hardest. We're not here in Virginia or on the East Coast. We're not like California prisons. Our politics are different. There's a very lack. There's a lack of politics if you can understand what I'm saying. Like there's people who want to act like they're politicking, and these little gang members and these people who think that they're on the movie Felon or Shot Caller. I was one of them. I'm not gonna lie. I was one of those individuals, man. I was a gang member. I ended up being the top of the food chain for this organization. I was politicking with other top guys from different, and there are some serious guys, don't get me wrong. There's serious guys in Virginia, just like there's serious guys anywhere. Guys that live, breathe, stand on the things that they're tattooed all over their bodies. There are people who will put that first, because that's really all they got. The reason people join gangs and the reason people associate with these organizations is because they really don't have a lot on the street. They don't have a lot to go home to. Or they're not going home at all. So when you start to get up to them level 3s and 4s and 5s, these are the people that you're going to be dealing with. When you're on your level 1s and 2s and road camps and things like that, hey man, they're just regular dudes, man. Some of them are just drug addicts that they want to get high and do their little 2 or 3 year sentences and go home. You know what I'm saying? I went to prison with an almost 10-year sentence on this last one. And I've already been down the road a couple times. This was my third prison bid, and I'm a vet at this point. You know, I was a seasoned veterano in the prison system. I could do time, man. Doing time isn't hard for me. I've been doing this since I was 11 years old. And when you've done that much time, when you've been behind them walls, when you get put into a prison or jail or institution setting, then what happens is this: the switch automatically goes off. My first day in jail, if I get in trouble, I will turn into a convict. I'm not gonna be the street Lance no more. I'm not gonna be this dude out here. I'm not gonna be a family man. I'm not gonna give a shit about any of that. I'm gonna become prison immediately. And the reason I'm going to have to do that is one, because, well, I have made a name for myself behind those walls. And it isn't so much I got to live up to that name. It's the fact that there's other individuals in this prison system that are going to expect me to do that. And my safety and my life would be in jeopardy if I don't. I got to stand on mine. That's the way it is. Or I can be taken out. It's the nature of the beast, man. So, you know, if when you're young and you're wilding out and you're just like, oh man, yeah, you know, I'm untouchable, man. When you do end up going down the road for that real long stretch, which eventually you will, you might get your little 2 or 3 year sentence here and there. Eventually they're gonna give you bing, that little 10 piece. That 10 piece is usually the first one they rock off on you. 10 years is a long time, dude. 5 years is a long time. Hell, 1 year is a long time. 1 day is a long time. To be caged up, some type of rabid animal. Throughout the course of doing all these years, you see things. You see a lot of things. You see things that you thought really only existed in books or movies, or, you know, shows like Oz, or movies like what's that? Shawshank Redemption, or the old school movie with Sean Penn, I think it was, Bad Boys. But those movies are very realistic. They can be, you know, they can be very unrealistic as well. There's a lot of unrealistic prison stuff out there, but there's a lot of realistic stuff too. You just gotta read between the lines, feed through the bullshit. One of the craziest things I ever saw is what we're going to talk about today. And when I say crazy, I mean like one of those things that still haunts me to this day. One of those things that I can't go to sleep at night without seeing every once in a while. When you think about prison violence, right? You think about inmates hurting each other. You think of the normal things. You think about a knife, or you think about a lock in a sock, or you think about soap in a t-shirt, or you think about knuckles or whatever, man. But this is one of them things where, like, I couldn't believe what I was seeing and hearing about. You got guys that come to the penitentiary, man, who are strung out on dope, junkies, shooting heroin, shooting cocaine, shooting methamphetamine. But either way you look at it, they're out on the street shooting up dope, and they are using needles, and they're sharing needles. When they come to prison, you got guys that are going to say, you know what, I want to just get my life together, man. I want to just change the direction, the course of my life. And they stop using. I used to be an intravenous drug user years and years ago. And when I went to prison in 2011, I made that decision that I would not use needles ever again. Here it is, 2025, and I've yet to fall back on that. I'm proud of myself on that, because a lot of my friends and my buddies are not here anymore because they didn't make that same decision. They didn't say to themselves, God, man, you know, there's a better life out there. And regardless of whether you might relapse or things like that, when you cross that line and you're doing that type of intravenous drug use, you really don't come back from it until usually it's to the point where you're either going to jail or you're just not here anymore. So that's why I hold on to that so dearly. You know, but when you're in prison, sometimes you might get hit with a 20 or 30 year sentence. What do you care if you get Hep C, or what do you care if you're sharing a needle with somebody? You really don't, because what have you really got to lose, man? So I tend to think about that, and I remember thinking to myself, man, there's no way that these stories are true. There's no way that these guys are actually doing this. So the first time I heard about it was there was a guy on. It was actually another prison, and he had been owing money. He was a junkie. He's running up drug debts, and he's saying, I'm not paying. That's in his mind what he thought, and his mo would be running up big debts and then heading over to the PC or heading to the sergeant's booth and saying, look, I need to check in. I fear for my safety. I fear for my life. They would in turn put him in isolation, sit back in the hole for about 2 or 3 months, and then they'd ship him. But here's what most of these guys do. And you're thinking, well, cool, he get clean. Nah, what he's doing is he's packing that Louis bag full of dope before he heads back to the hole. Heads back to the hole, and he's good. He's got all the dope he needs. He can sit back here by himself, nod off, and by the time he's running out, they're usually shipping him. And what's crazy is the whole time, man, most of these dudes got bread coming in. But you can only hit mama, grandma, Aunt Pearl, and everybody else with so much money before they stop being like, look, the bank's closed for a while. But I know some of these dudes, man, like, I don't understand it, man. I don't understand what makes a parent or a loved one or a girlfriend or whatever send you so much money, whatever guilt trip you're laying on them, to where they're sending $5,000, $6,000, $1,000 a week. They're struggling paying bills on the street, man, and they're just sending you $1,000 a week, supposedly for honey buns and ramen noodles. Come on, man. You gotta be fucked up if you think that I'm really believing it. And then it turns into Western Unions or Cash Apps, and you're peddling over here, this, that, and third. Obviously, you're doing dope. So, anyway, this kid gets locked up into the hole where they send him to another penitentiary, and this place called King Mountain. Now, King Mountain had this thing called the STAR program. STAR program was where like people who was like rats and things like that would go, and they would basically, it's a check-in unit, man. It's a PC unit, and that's what these guys were doing. Well, some of these gangs started getting hip to that. So they started placing their own into the STAR program. So they could put hits out on people, man, that were doing this type of thing. There's a lot of people sitting over in that program that owed a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? And somebody had to be made an example of, right? Well, he gets sent to the STAR program, and they hit him. Fact. He gets hit up 5 times in the chow hall. That was the first time. Goes to medical unit. Now, this was unheard of. You hadn't heard none of this happen yet, right? Nobody had gotten hit here. This was a nice, safe place for these lames to go to, you know? And what then turned out to be was, now there was a message sent. Now something had happened. Guys couldn't just run up desks and run off the yard. Good. Because it's a bad look, man. If you owe money, you should go pay it. Without saying too much, I had to do a couple things, send a couple guys to the STAR program myself. And it's unfortunate that you have to, one, sacrifice good dudes because of somebody trying to beat the system in effect, you know what I'm saying? Trying to get over. But if you allow that to happen, if you allow him to do it, then everybody's going to want to do it. So, to get to the point, man, what they ended up doing was they had to figure out how to fight back, right? They had to figure out a way to defend themselves. And you can't defend yourself if you're one man and you got a gang of people coming at you. 3 or more is considered a gang, in any sense. And if you're one man, you're not going to be able to defend yourself on that most of the time. And a lot of these guys had, like I said, Hep C, HIV, things like that. So what they were doing was they were making these homemade rigs, as we call them, or intravenous needles, and they were filling it with their blood. So they walk around with these things. And the first time I heard about it was, dude, they started to jump on dude, and he pulls this thing out and hits one with it. And injects. And you think about that, man. Like, it's sad, bro. And it's a cycle of events that ends up taking somebody's, life, in my opinion. Because if you give somebody a full-blown AIDS, that's not really a good thing, bro. That's a terrible thing. And it all started because of you getting high and not wanting to pay your debt, man. And it's just, it's a coward move. And it started to become a trend, man. And I started hearing about it more and more often. And the COs and the administration, they didn't know what to do about it. I know quite a few individuals, man, that this happened to. You know, I know a lot of dudes that went to go put in work for their brothers of their organization and ended up catching something that Clorox can't take off, man. So that was one of the sickest things that I saw in the penitentiary, man, as far as, innovative ways to hurt people. And, it makes you think, man, if I tell people all the time, inmates are the most creative people in the world, man. We know how to make something out of nothing real fast. You know, when your life is on the line, you'll make a weapon out of whatever you got handy. You know, the next video I'm gonna do is gonna be on trucker bombs, something we call trucker bombs. And what that is basically you take a milk carton or a cup, and you put shit and piss in it. You let it sit and ferment, man, over time, a few days, weeks, sometimes more. And you make what's called a spear. And you take that spear, long newspaper, make it hard, roll it up real tight. You dip it in that thing, you stab somebody with it. Think about that. You're going to get sick till you die. Sepsis or whatever it's called. You're going to poison someone's blood doing that. Do you think these people care? They don't care, man. So, before you make those decisions, man, to go to the penitentiary, understand that it isn't what you think it's going to be. It's never what you think it's going to be. I don't know. But, some people just, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink, man. So, until that day comes, much love to the Gladiator Gang. Salute to all the A1s from day one. And as always, man, stay out, and stay sucker free. Let's go.